Hello, welcome to Band Basics. If you just watched the last video, we put together the upper joint of the clarinet. Now we're going to put together the bottom joint, the lower joint of the clarinet. Here's the lower joint. Here's the upper joint. I just put it together. All right. So we have a couple more corks here. The bottom cork of the upper joint is a little tricky to get to because we have the spanner key here. It kind of goes between the two joints. So I'll show you how to do that. And here we have the lower joint with a big cork at the bottom, and that's where the bell goes in. Okay? We'll quickly do that. Let's start with the upper joint. Now, when you're greasing the upper joint, obviously you can't get under here, so you have to kind of fudge it a little bit. So here we go. I usually start here. Just lightly rub some grease on, rotating it there if it kind of splooges out. All right? And then get your fingers. You might have to do this a couple times right off the bat if you have a new clarinet. And then once it starts going together fairly easily, you can kind of lay off the grease every single time. You don't want to get too much on there, it just makes a mess. All right, so here's the tricky part. I'm going to do this a couple times. I'll show you this way, and then I'll try to turn around so you can see it from like what would be your point of view. All right, so I have my students hold the upper joint in their left hand. Remember, we're going to put our fingers right across here. Let's see if I can shift my chair. So it's going to be like that. And then I try to hold the lower joint down here. I think it's a little clunky holding it up here. So I try to hold it here over these two keys. Just watch out for these long bars here, these long keys, these rods. You don't want to bend that. So my palm is kind of down here. You're going to line up this key with that key. And you can see, I don't know if you can see it here, but there's a couple little lines here. You got to get them close. All right? So I'm going to just go this way. So here we go. Left hand, right hand. See the two keys there. Put it in. Small twists as I'm pushing in. Now mine goes together pretty easily because it's new. You got to be careful. You can kind of squeeze it this way as well. Sometimes my students, I'll have them put the bell on first, and then you can kind of press down. You got to be very careful of these tenons down here because they're very thin and they will break easily. So you don't want to really press too much on those. All right. So let's put the bell on. All right. I'm going to grease this cork. This one's pretty easy. Very similar to the mouthpiece or the top of the upper joint. Greasy. Wipe your fingers off. I got a little bit on the body here. The bell. Kind of holding it up here. Twist and push. The bell usually goes on pretty easy. Now, the bell can go on any way you want, but typically you'll see some writing. It happens to be a Yamaha clarinet, so their little branding stamp is right there. Usually it kind of lines up with the keys. Will it change the sound if it's backwards? Not at all. All right, go from there. So that is the entire clarinet. If you don't have your reed on yet, you can now put the reed on. I think it's easier for beginners, especially if you're young, 4th, 5th grade, to get that reed on with just the barrel or the upper joint or the mouthpiece by itself. As you get older, a little bit just physically bigger, you're going to do it any way that's comfortable for you. And that's okay, all right? That should do it. You should be ready to play. Thank you.